Welcome to Martini. Let me punch my clock here first. Okay. Now, welcome to Martini time. And I've got my monkey glass out here because, see, two monkeys? Because sometimes I jump around a lot. And I want you to keep up with me. So I've been talking about... I usually take at least 2 sips of this to keep me going. Last night we talked about losing your spot. So I've been talking about this spot and how important it is. You know, spot on, or he's got my spot, Sheldon's spot. That's very famous and very deep. Sheldon will say that in this spot, all the forces of the room converge into a hub like the spokes of the wheel. So at this spot, everything is integrated. At this spot, I have my power. I'm in my home. See, spot and home are the same. Center. Without a center, everything disintegrates. The famous Yeats poem, When the Center Can't Hold. You know, that whole idea, when the center can't hold, we descend into chaos, rabble, Tower of Babel, little. Chaos, which is the great fear. When the center will descend into hell, chaos, you see. So the center is very important, not only in society, because the society, and not only in religion, I'm back, I just got reconnected, not only in religion, but in society, in relationships, in marriages, in families. Every group is held together by some center. It's either an idea or a person, like mama or father, you see. You'll notice that the paradigm of families has changed, because in the 50s, when TV started, father knows best. And then it began to shift to mother knows best. And father became kind of like a Dagwood, you know. He's on the periphery, but it's the mother that holds the family together. It used to be the father held the family together. Yeah, well, that's... Center is important. That's what we're trying to talk about here today. The center must hold, but it doesn't. And in relationships, all the conflict of relationships, especially marriage, is when there's a loss of center. One person feels like the other took his center. And so he's got to take it back. And so one person feels like they're the victim of the other. Each feels like they're the victim of the other one because they've lost their center. And so this begins to be a feedback loop, a self-swallowing snake that goes, wow, 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 pew, gets a gun and shoots somebody. That's the way you end it when there is no way to stop the self-annihilation that you feel when you lose your center. So we're talking about how the other... Now, I was also writing today, it's been a great metaphor, but it's about the, and I forgot the name for it, but it's the starlings that flock like a dance of a regrouping organism in the sky. So beautiful. The organism, this flock is an organism, and it just flies around in regrouping like this joyous symphony, you see. But what makes the flock? What makes birds? What makes a herd of zebras? What's the center of a herd of zebras? What's the center of a flock? Now, what creates it? Well, the hawk creates the flock. The lion creates the herd. The shark creates the school of fish. What? Well, think about it. Take a herd of zebra. Now, zebras very ingeniously designed their skin as a what do you call it, maze. If you look at a herd of zebras, go Google it up, you can't tell one from the other. They all blend in. So what does the lion do? He's confused. Should I take that one or that one? So he's confused. He can only take one that when one straggles out, when he can separate one, you see. But he can't take the whole herd, and he can't choose any. So that's the whole idea of the survival of a flock, is that a hawk will create a flock so the hawk can't single out anybody. And the shark or the big fish can't single out little fish when they're all in a school, you see. That's the survival mechanism of the little fish against the big fish. So the enemy creates the flock. Now let's look at religion. So when you take particularly evangelical religion, I love evangelicals. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law in the 90s taught me close hand, personal, about the evangelical paradigm or their world idea and their lifestyle. And they did it correct. I mean, they did it full time. They were a resource center. They were like the center. Their little house was the center of their church community, and all of the information would come in there, and they would distribute it, you see. So they were the center. Even to the point of when 2000K came along. Remember that? When the world was going to end because the computers were all going to shut down? Well, in preparation for that, they had filled their basement with dehydrated food, great big boxes of dehydrated food. And it was a community. I mean, they were going out to these places where they could box all this food. And they had a water distiller down there. And they were ready for the end of times. They were going to be the source, the place that would feed their world, you see. So it was a very beautiful thing. Of course, 9/11 didn't. The end of the world never came. And when Jimmy died and June went to a nursing home, her son and I helped take all of that food to the dump. Anyway, but the point is, you have to have a center. And either the center is in you and you operate from your center, or you create a center outside of you that will energize you against the enemy, you see. So if you're in a group, the group has to have an enemy to organize itself, to rally the troops, to juice up, to be unified. Nothing like an enemy to get the flag up there and the volunteers to come rushing in to defend the flock. You see? So the enemy then becomes the center of the group. And this was very evident to me when Obama was president, although it's becoming more evident now that we're looking in the rearview mirror. But for 8 years, the GOP made Obama their center. It was not Obama, you see. We'll do anything as long as it's not Obama. So whatever Obama did, they did the opposite. And Trump followed in that. He started his candidacy on Obama's the illegitimate center. He's the wrong center. So he built his whole campaign on eliminating Obama, and he's still doing that. He's just erasing Obama. That's all he's doing. But the point I'm trying to make here, without getting into politics, which is not easy, is that when you have an identity in a group, when you give the group your center, when you don't know who you are unless you belong to a group, a religion, a club, a gang, a family, whatever. If you only know who you are by the group you belong to, then that group exists because it has an enemy. Something that can focus it. Some hawk that will make the flock form. Some shark that will make the school of fish form. Some lion that will make the zebras herd together, you see. You get that? I mean, this is not, it's everywhere, but it's very difficult to see because it's kind of a mythological in the sense. I mean, it's a metaphor. It's kind of it's an equation. It's a recipe that describes why groups get stronger by having an enemy. When we had 9/11, what did Bush do? I'm not saying right or wrong, but what did Bush do? The nation was fragmented. The Twin Towers came down. We were in a post-traumatic syndrome. We had what? We can't believe. How did this happen? And it was on live TV, for God's sakes. So it wasn't like it was something you read in the newspaper. It was a traumatic shock to the American psyche. So what did Bush do? Well, we need an enemy. And an enemy can unite the nation. But those bearded guys living in a mountain cave, that's not an enemy. Osama, that's just, that's not an enemy worthy of America. We can't use our might. You can't use aircraft carriers and bombers and everything against somebody living in a cave. No, we need somebody with an army. We need somebody that's worthy of us. Saddam, yeah, he's got an army. So the center was shifted to Saddam. Saddam became the one who united the American might, you see. And off we go. And we were so happy. We took down his tower. We took down his statue. And we thought that would be it, you see. Well, here we are. But anyway, like I said, I don't want to monkey jump into politics. I'm trying to stay focused on how this formula works and why, when we identify with the group, we give our center to the group. Now, where is the group's center? It's going to have a center in some enemy, some devil, some sin, some hawk, something that's trying to attack the group. Otherwise, the group would have no purpose to form together and protect itself. You see? The group forms as a self-protection mechanism. So if you identify with the group and surrender your center, and give it to the group. Well, I remember now with Jimmy and June, my brother-in-law, and I was really amazed at how much literature they had on cults. Everything was about how to deprogram somebody in a cult. It was all about cults. And they were running around everywhere, cults, and they were so happy when they got somebody deprogrammed. And they saved them from the cult and brought them into their cult. You see. So a cult understands a cult. So a cult is a group that takes your identity, and the cult's identity is based on a misplaced center. The center is not in the cult. It's in some enemy, some other, some evil government. The immigrants, the Muslims, the Jews, the blacks, the LBG, the gays. Somebody out there is the enemy that makes us band together and get strong. Anyway, thanks for dropping in. My time is up. So I hope we're expanding this understanding of how we get in the fix we're in. Like Laurel and Hardy. This is a fine fix you've gotten me in, you see. We need to understand that.